welcome back to my channel, and it is day 3 of the 100 days project. Woo, go me. How is everyone doing on their projects? If you're also doing the challenge, I hope you're still enjoying it despite being the 3rd day in. I think sometimes you can get bored of it pretty quickly depending on what your project is. I'm still having heaps of fun, although I am very, very busy making all of these videos for you guys. So what am I working on today? Today I am doing Ann from Persona 5. She's probably my favorite character, I think. She's the most relatable, I think. And I really like her costuming, and she's the sort of feminine one of the group, and there are a few more female characters, but I don't really know them all that well yet. Jonathan is... I'm not playing the game. Jonathan is about... I think he's about 60% through. So he's still got a heap to go, and he's only just been introduced to Noir. So it's really interesting to see what the rest of the characters are like. But I really like Ann. She's been there from the start, and I really like her really cutesy but kind of sexy character. So yeah, I decided to draw her. And I kind of tried to imitate the Persona style, which is really, for this game in particular, it's really a lot harsh blacks, and it's very inky looking, and I had a go at trying to emulate that, but I mean, you guys can be the judge of how well I did. And yeah, I've just finished doing the coloring for this piece, and lo and behold, I did not press the record button. So I have half of it on camera and the other half not. And I am so gutted because it means I can't upload anything for you guys tomorrow. And I'd already kind of started on this video, otherwise I probably would have split it, and then you guys can sort of figure it out for yourself. So that sucks, but that's just the way things go, and it might actually be good for me to take a break tomorrow. You will see that colored piece though on my 100 days project page. There just won't be a video link to it, unfortunately. But yeah, you kind of get an idea. This took me 2 hours, perhaps even longer than that, to do just the line art. So the coloring only took me like 40 minutes, I think. And because I've been doing it kind of recently, it wasn't too hard to sort of do it again, because I guess I'm just used to it and well trained. That is my phone. My phone keeps buzzing today. I am the most popular person at the moment. It's actually not, it's just my mum. Yeah, so the coloring took me not nearly as long as the line art, so definitely the line art for this is the most exciting part of it all. So yeah, I hope you don't mind me not doing the coloring process. I do apologize. I will be more disciplined next time, and remember to check. I don't know when I stopped recording. I must have just pressed the button when I was doing something else instead of having these long pauses, but that's okay. Yeah, so doesn't look like much at the moment. It looks really flat and quite strange, but you will see how it all kind of comes together later on, and I'm super happy with the final piece. I was saying to my partner that this is definitely not something I could do in Photoshop, but I can do it in Illustrator. And there's probably people who can very easily do this in Photoshop. That's not what I was trying to get at. It was just being like, I personally could not create something this awesome in Photoshop, but I can do it in Illustrator. So I guess that's kind of my secret skill of sorts. Yeah, so the tool that I used in this was actually called the width tool. The width tool? I think it's called that. Hang on, let me just double check what it's actually called. Yeah, it's actually called just the width tool. Shift W if you want to know what it is on your keyboard shortcuts. And basically it allows me to change the width of a stroke, so I don't have to expand the stroke, and it means I can move it around really easily without having to recreate the shape altogether, or fix both edges, if that makes sense. So here I am using it now. There's a few moments when I get really frustrated because it's the first time I've used it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm trying to delete points and things go out of whack, and you get these really strange lines and things. So it does take a wee bit of it's a bit of a learning curve to use it, but it's not too difficult compared to some things. And it's just a bit of a play, kind of get a feel of how lines would work if you're doing a pen or with a brush pen. Maybe it's kind of got that kind of effect to it. So if you've got some knowledge of how it would work if you were doing it by hand, then it kind of helps to emulate that here. And I have used brush pens. I actually have quite a few, but I don't use them as much because I don't do as much traditional stuff. But they are really nice to use. So if you want to play with them by hand first, and then you can kind of get an idea of what you want it to look like, and then you can kind of play with how to do that here in Illustrator. If that makes sense. Mum keeps texting me. So that's pretty much all this is. It's some really, really simple lines that I have used the width tool to expand, and there's a wee bit of a learning curve. You can just see me trying to figure out what the hell is going on with that area. If you've got too many points, so say a corner accidentally has 2 points and it's kind of like one on top of the other and one's hidden, that will affect how the width tool shapes it. Oh my god, leave me alone, Mum, I am recording. She won't stop, trust me. So that makes a huge difference, which is something I had to learn for myself, and I also had to figure out how to delete width points, I guess you could say, as well, because that would have been handy to know before I started, but I didn't quite understand. So I figured that out eventually and fix up some of the line work. Or if I can't do it, I just use a big block of color because I can't think of any other way of doing it. I also did redid her ear. I wasn't really happy with how the circle was looking. It was looking a little too gimmicky. It didn't quite look right. Does that make sense? So I gave her a slightly more realistic ear to what it's not really that much more realistic, but to what I usually do. I usually just do a circle and be like, hey, it's her ear. But there's a little too much detail in this artwork to do that. So I was really happy with Jonathan, my partner. He often looks at my artworks and he will say whether or not he likes them or not, and he's very not blunt in a mean way, but he's just very honest, which is a good thing. And he I see that I was trying to do the persona style and I thought I'd done really well, and he was like, no, it looks nothing like the persona style, as in it's more like your style. You've got your eyes that you usually do, or this is done differently, or what have you. So I was actually really happy with that comment, because despite having tried to do someone else's style, my style kind of came through no matter what, which made me really happy, because it means I'm doing something right, I guess. So the hair, I think I struggled the most with the hair, and perhaps the mask at times, but the hair was just like, I just couldn't get it to look real, I guess. If I was doing it with a pen or a pencil, this might be a lot easier, but it was kind of like I just had these big blank spots that I had to fill in, and I guess I just played around with shapes and things. Those lines in the middle aren't width tool lines, they're actually just shapes, because I just find them easier to create than having to use the pen, the width tool all the time. So just a fun fact for you. And then just sort of, so now I'm working on mostly shadows and things, and I add quite a few more shadows than I thought I would, but it's quite hard when you start, but once you I think once you play with the width tool and you kind of figure out what you want, where you want the thickness to be and things like that, it kind of makes it easier to see where the shading naturally is. So naturally the shading under the hair is quite thick because it's kind of the under here, if that makes sense. And so there's a lot of shadow there from her face, perhaps. It's just things like that. It's just having a play and seeing what looks right. I mean, I'm still not 100% happy with how it looks or how it's turned out. I mean, I'm really happy with it, obviously, but there's still things I can improve on, obviously, and especially if we want to keep going with the style or do the style again. It would be cool to do the other few girls in the team, or maybe even the boys. I should really do boys more often. It's not like I can't. It just they're just a little bit harder to get looking like men, or less feminine, I guess. Yeah. So once we do the hair, I think we keep playing with the mask and things. As for her bottom torso, as for her torso, I did do it in the beginning. It wasn't a sketch, but I just really wasn't happy with how it was looking. So I didn't show you how I did the line work for it. But basically, I end up just getting rid of it, kind of, and then I just put the hand in. That I really like the hand. So it's kind of more of a head shot, or what do you call it when it's like shoulders up? I guess it's called a headshot, isn't it, when it's just the shoulders up? Anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much it from me about this piece in particular. I do apologize for this one being a little bit longer. I did speed it up to like 600% as opposed to 500 or 450. Just because it took me so long, so there was a heap of footage. I probably could have split this into 2 videos, but thinking on it now, that would have been great, because I could have done the colouring video for you guys, but or just popped it on the end, but that is fine. These things happen. So yeah, so it's just me doing this for, it took me like 2 hours. It was insane. 2 hours non-stop as well. There wasn't very many breaks in between, which I know is really bad, because I really shouldn't do that, because you're supposed to stand up you're supposed to do it like every 20 minutes. I don't know who could stand up every 20 minutes and be like, I can be productive if I have to stand up every 20 minutes. Fun times. But yeah, so is everyone else doing the project? Is anyone else that's watching these videos doing this project? Let me know if you are, and make sure you send me a link to your wherever it is that you're posting, because I definitely like to watch these other people's progress as well, especially on Instagram. Instagram at the moment is my like go-to click on app if I need to like just fill in time. I don't know why that is. I think it used to be Tumblr, but Tumblr for me, I found Tumblr when I was in high school, like it must have been like 14, 15, and no, even younger than that. And I guess now it's not as good as it used to be, I guess. And Instagram, there's a lot of selfies on Instagram, I guess. But I am trying to find more artists and things to watch, to look at, and follow. I follow the cosplayers on Instagram, which is really interesting. And yeah. Oh, and a lot of figure skating. Actually, I had my lesson today, and I was talking to my coach, and I was telling her how my Instagram feed is mostly, or like the suggested feed is mostly figure skaters, and they all, pretty much all of them are from Russia as well, or no, America or Russia, and it's like obviously their mum is taking the photos. It's like these younger skaters, and their mum's got like the Instagram, their phones out, like putting stuff on Instagram, and people with way too much time, basically, or mums who have way too much time for their children, essentially. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff that you can see on there. There's a couple of really young girls, must be hitting their tweens, so they must be like 12, 13, doing amazing things like camel spins, and straight out of their camel spin they do like a loop jump, and incredibly, I actually tried that today. It's actually not that hard, but to make it look nice is hard. Yeah, just crazy things like that. And I was telling her how my feed is basically figure skating, well, little kids figure skating, doing things that I can't even do. So it makes you feel good, you know. But I came into the sport quite late. I was year 9. I used to be an Irish dancer, and I did that through like my last few years of primary and then into intermediate. So it was year 9, which means I would have been 12 years old, possibly 13. And I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore. And I told Mum that I wanted to be a figure skater because she taught me a little bit. She used to skate as well, and she still does actually, which is really cool. But basically, I was like, yeah, I want to do figure skating, which is awesome. But it's in the only rink in my area. Well, when I was a kid, it was like an hour's drive away. So every Friday we would go and go figure skating. I did that with my best friend, which was so much fun. And shout out to her if she's watching. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, and I still do it today. So there's a lot to be said about starting a sport a wee bit later. There's nothing wrong with it, I guess. And you definitely can get better and improve. It doesn't matter what age you start. Just don't expect to go to the Olympics anytime soon, which would be lovely, but I do not have nearly the dedication nor the skill to do that. But if that's your dream, then definitely go for it. That's all I say. So we're just doing final touches on this. So I'm doing her zip area, which is really hard to do, really basic, if that makes sense. I probably could have done this a little bit better, but I didn't. So I'm just happy with where it looks in the end. And yeah, I think final touches, the zip area. Oh, and we've got to do a few more pieces on her hand as well. I didn't mind the hand. I think it looks like a hand. It definitely didn't look like a hand while I was doing it, and like the thumb, not the thumb, like the finger creases and things. I find those really hard to do. I'm not so good with hands. I mean, I'm okay. It's funny because I used to do. I wanted to get better at drawing hands, so I think for my third year, my final artboard for high school, which is like a giant painted storytelling type thing. I did a lot of hand drawings and people and faces, and I got better at it. I did get better at hands, but I used to use reference, but I guess I don't use references now as much. And I just kind of go off memory and things, which is really bad. I should still use references. But so despite this being a non-referenced picture, it's not that bad, I guess. But I should get better at hands and things, especially hands in particular angles I'm not good at. But like your classic anime hands, I could probably do those. Yeah, so there's just a few more things to do, such as the hair, and maybe touching up a few more lines and things. I think I ended up deleting that because none of it was working. And just doing the hairline. Yeah, so that is pretty much it for me today. If go and have a look at the original drawings for Persona 5 and tell me what you think, whether or not I've captured the style correctly. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these. Hit the like button if you loved it. Leave a comment below if you have a suggestion for me or you just want to share some love. And there's also a link in the description for my day 100 URL that you can go and have a look at as well. So thank you again, and I will see you guys on Friday.